Sasha, finally
Nice to,
so good to
nice.
connect with you.
Yes, nice to see you. Oh,
We've been following each other for at least 5 years now, if you think
yeah,
about it.
yeah. Five
And
years. It's
it's
crazy.
absolutely crazy. 5 years went by so fast. And
Yeah.
throughout this time, I was very, very impressed with you and your research because I don't follow that many people, but when I go online, I'm not exactly sure how I follow your page. Maybe because we both follow Mark Passio, natural law.
Yeah.
We also
Yeah.
did so much research outside when it comes to, what happened last couple of years with the fake pandemic.
Yeah.
And you had some posts on your page, and thankfully I could translate everything back into English. So when I
Yes,
translate, I
thank you.
was like,
Thank you, Instagram, for that.
yeah, we should thank Instagram. Even though we were shadow banned, a lot of times
Yeah.
we can't even post. But right now, very thankful. I was going back, I was like, man, Sasha, she did so much research and then she was just posting, warning people. I gotta have a conversation with her, get to know her better. And I just want to introduce my audience to you. You can share as much as you want or as little as you want. You know, tell people about you. Yeah, anything you would like to share.
Yeah. It's great, and I was really delighted that you invite me to the interview. And for me, it was really good thing to think about the way how it all came out for me, like what's happening in the world.
Hmm.
And I really dive deep in the senses of why it happened and what exactly drove me to the conclusions, right? And
Hmm.
then how step by step I found all those, I don't know, star guides. I mean, the doctors who were not sold by the governments,
Mm,
not bought by the
right.
governments, and not too hypnotized to not see what is happening in the, in the world.
Hmm.
So for me, it's really good because I can share this story, and maybe someone who's looking for the answers right now, and someone who feel the same would
Hmm.
hear this story and will find out something important, to in order um, to maybe to give this information forward to the
Right.
community, or maybe to, I don't know, to just help them, him or herself, right? I'm a little bit
Absolutely.
nervous because I was never speaking about those topics almost, in English, and it's my second language.
You're
So yeah, I
doing
hope.
fantastic.
Oh,
Sasha,
okay,
I had
okay,
no
thank you.
worries at all.
Okay.
English is also my second language. And when I heard through your voice messages, I'm like, Sasha can do this.
Yes,
She can definitely do
thank you.
this because I can understand everything that she's talking about. And she can
Perfect.
put the language together. And I try to just speak as slow as possible. This is just a very friendly conversation. I
Yeah.
think my intention is just having a very nice conversation with you, providing great information. But later on, a couple years from now, we can look at back this video and be like, wow, we
Yeah,
looked
we
so
did
young back then.
it. Agree to that point.
So
Yeah,
funny.
when I'm looking at my old posts, when I'm looking at my old posts, I sometimes do not believe, like, wow, I wrote those things. Like, oh my goodness.
Wow.
So many things changed, and it's also an important point of our today's conversation, is that maybe a few years later we will find out something new,
Hmm.
and it's always the meaning of researching and finding out new things, because some things really change deeply
Mm,
from the perspective I had 4 years ago and what I have now.
absolutely.
And but those changes are really great because the picture is now more and more complete, and every day I can find out the things that are adding to this picture. And when I see this picture, I feel a deep sense of my life,
Right.
which was lost, which I was trying to find. That's an important thing to mention today, because I really see, when I'm talking deeply in deep conversations with my friends or some people I meet, like new acquaintances, many people are looking for something, and they are getting into this trap of false sense, false basic things, and they are still deep inside feeling that there is no sense in life, like the meaning of the life is not found, you know. And what the research I did through those years with all my subscribers, with all my community, which I have now, is that I found out this sense of life, the meaning of life. It's like the little purpose, because it's like a basics. And when you have these basics, then you grow yourself in these basics, you know. And it's so important, and it's so beautiful, and it can provide this basic, this information we will talk about today. This information can provide these basics to everyone, and then everyone can grow their own garden, you know, what they have in the souls, what they like, if it's possible. Of course, I just hope that we have still time, you know, to do so.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask you, when was the moment you woke up? You know, was it the pandemic that woke you up to everything, or you had other events in the past that woke you up and told you this system is very, very messed up, and I need to go do my research and figure out what's going on?
As many other people I was talking about who were like, let's say, awaken, but I don't like this word. It's, you know, too trivial right now, and it's used by different false flags, you know, communities. But okay, awakening. I think that many people go through some pain, you know, in the life. So I had the situation in my life when I really had to go through facing the things the system is about. Like, I lost someone I loved. It was like 18 years ago, but I was really young at that point. And I faced the religion, I faced the medical system, I faced some other situation in my life when it was so intense when I found out that it doesn't work like I had this illusion in my head, and this illusion is not compared, and you can't comprehend, right? You can make like it's not working together, like it's not the mechanism, it's just a lie all around. Especially the painful thing was probably the religion, because I always felt like something is going on there, and I was not inside the Christianity and I was not outside. But then when I faced this, I started research, and it was crazy, like how quickly the information started to open to me from this point, right? And for me, it's very important to say that when you start describing yourself to people, it's usually the situation when people start thinking like, oh, she loves this color, or she is a Christian, she's into Christianity or Orthodox or something like this. Okay, now I can listen to her. That's why I don't like to speak a lot about myself, about my beliefs, about the basics I have, you know, in like things in my life, because it's like, oh, we are the same color, so we are the tribe. But yeah, but it's very important that we can listen to each other, even we are coming from a different cultural background, or we have a different, I don't know, some people are into religion really deep inside. And I know many great examples of when someone is talking really meaningful information about what's coming next with this technocracy, right? But at the same time, they are into the Christianity and Jesus and all that, but I'm not into it, right? And if I would not listen to them, I would not get this technocracy information, you know? But those rivers, little springs are getting into one river, and then you see the meaning. And thanks to being open-minded and accepting others as they are, you can collect this information, those little pieces of the information, right? And then you have this box. So maybe if to tell a little things about me, I'm just working as a hypnotherapist, but actually it's not a hypnotherapy, it's the hypnosis right now, because usually all the symptoms I'm working with are just emotional and traumatic experience and some beliefs people have, right? And I'm a coaching, I'm doing coaching and some psychosomatics works also. But this is just a simple, labels
Yeah.
by meaning of which I can just tell about myself. So I have a 6 years experience of working with people. So I also see different stories and I hear different stories and I can collect them and also see how things work and how life changed through many of my clients who started to research
Right.
and found out the same things I found out, but
So you
not
kind
like
of
I
coach
told
them.
them.
You coach your
Yes,
clients to go
yeah,
research.
yeah. But they are doing by themselves, right? I'm not like
Yeah.
saying you do this, you do this. We are just working with traumatic experience or some psychosomatics, right? But
Okay.
then they do the research by themselves, and they found out the same things. Like it's amazing how that works. It's like a resonance, and it's
Yeah.
it's fantastic. So
S-
that's little things about who am I, so we can.
Sasha, you're doing fantastic. You really are. Let me just share with you what I think about Sasha, because we never had like a face-to-face conversation
Yeah,
like this. But I knew if I ever have a conversation with Sasha, it's going to be great. Because sometimes I
thank you.
hear some of your voice messages and you get very angry at the system and you start cursing in English. I was like, this sounds great. When Sasha curses in English,
I can
it sounds
do
like
so. Yeah.
Ruska bubushka,
Ruska
like a
babushka,
Russian,
yeah.
like a
I think
angry
it's leaving
Russian
some.
lady. And then, but as a coach, I think as a, I would say a counselor, you listen to many, many different stories and you have to see everyone from a bird's eye perspective because everybody's coaching area is a little bit different. You can't use the
Yeah,
same strategies to be like, okay, this person, I'm going to use the same framework. One thing we would definitely want to talk about is you're saying that people are grabbing on to the wrong principles. People are grabbing on to the wrong paradigms. And one of them is germ theory. Germ theory.
yeah.
I want you to elaborate and just give your take on
Oh my
germ
goodness.
theory and also terrain theory, or I think
Yeah.
when I translated the Russian, you guys call it environment theory, right?
Yes, yes. The теория среды, right. You're right. So you started just from the main point, like, we have this plan, and this is the 100%, like the goal of talking today. But I think this would be very useful for everyone who's looking for the inner
Mm,
peace, because this is the fear philosophy. Some parts of bad guys are using against us. And when
absolutely.
someone is in fear, someone has an anxiety inside him or herself, it's killing from inside. So when you have this knowledge inside you and you really truly like research and found out what's happening,
Hmm.
you lose this fear because you understand the principles of how the world works actually,
Mm,
and
hmm.
that the world is not the enemy, and that there is no war with you, with your body, with your organism.
Mm,
It's
mm,
just something around us is craving for peace, if is craving for this biological compatibility, right?
hmm.
Like we coexist together and with no harm to each other.
Right.
So you start thinking in completely different, paradigm is changed inside of you with this knowledge. And this is the
Mm,
main thing which those structures, those bad guys don't want us to know. They
hmm.
want us to live, to be in fear, to live in fear,
Right.
to be scared of each other, and to divide us with
Correct.
this, is false flag knowledge, false flag theory. I call like the germ theory. So
Mm,
let me just start from the thing why it opened up to me like this
yeah.
way. Okay, maybe it will be very close to someone who's looking for the information or will do this in the future. Like I had the skin issues in my life, and I could like a pimples, and I was not a teenager anymore, like,
Okay.
right? And I started to look for some answers why it's happening to me.
Right.
And at that point, it was like really long time ago. I had no idea about almost about the psychosomatics, how that works, right? And the
Hmm.
doctors were trying to put hormonal therapy so like to use those I don't remember the birth control pills,
Corticosteroids,
right?
birth
Yeah, like
control, something to
birth
change your
control, yeah.
hormones.
Yes, completely. And when I stopped using those pills, like
Hmm.
my skin getting really worse. And I
Mm.
wanted to stop using them because I realized how bad they are to my hormonal system, to my body, to my organism, right?
Hmm.
And which helped me was not the medicine, but the information I found out. I found the girls who were having the same symptoms,
Hmm.
and they started to be vegan. So it's my little story about the false flags I was
Right.
falling into.
Right.
But at the beginning, they really looked like gold and were really helpful, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so I started
Sometimes
the
you have
back.
to try many different
Yes,
modalities and then
yeah,
mix and
that's
match. Mix and
yes,
match.
yes. But the thing is that it's very important at some point ask yourself, like, is it the last stage of where I'm like trying to get, or I'm just walking in
Circling around.
circles, right?
Right.
Right, not moving into the spiral up, but just circling all
Mm.
the time, circling. Yeah. So at some point it helped me. Like all my skin issues gone, like were gone. I felt like super energetic, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
Like all the vegans have it in the
Right.
beginning,
For a short season.
yeah. And I was really like propaganda with that veganism is
Yeah.
helpful. I still have those pages. I was translating the different articles about that, how
Stop
veganism help.
eating meat. You're a bad
Yes, yes.
person.
Yeah, I was studying in Madrid at that point at a
Mm.
master degree, getting master degree, and was super vegan, like as even raw vegan at that point.
Oh,
And
wow.
at some point, I felt like my body started to ask me for eating fish, like a red fish,
Okay.
Like I start smelling it somewhere, and I had some really dry skin, and my energy was low, not only because of it was so difficult to study there, but also it was just something going on, something wrong.
Right.
But
Your
imagine
body was
me like
telling you
this.
something.
Yes, yes. Imagine me with this propaganda machine, like veganism is helping you, and then suddenly I started like my body is asking me to eat this fish. I was at war with myself at that point. That was
Yes.
crazy for me. But then, like during like maybe 2 months, I was battling myself. I was trying to tell myself that no, I don't need this. This is the, I don't know, like some kind of when someone is trying to check you
Yeah.
if you would
Yeah. This is
fall
a
for this, or
test.
if
This is
if this
temptation.
is this is a devil's temptation. Yeah. But then I just ate this fish
Yeah.
with a lemon and
How was it
in the
prepared?
2 hours.
Tell me how did you prepare the fish?
I know you are doing this topic with parasites. It was on a steam,
Okay.
with
The
a little
steamer.
bit steamer, right. But after I ate this red fish piece, like my skin stopped being so dry here, like in two
Okay.
hours. It was a miracle for me. And then
Wow.
I was like, okay, I'm at the bottom. I was like, stop, Sasha. Like you are in the bottle with your own body, but you
Your
live with
body's
this
trying to tell
body.
you
Yeah,
something.
yes, and your body is trying to. And that something is not working like you were trying to convince yourself. And after this
Mm.
thought, some little information started to collect around me. I found
Mm.
some people who were vegan like me for a long time, but
Right.
then they started to have a really serious issues, or they couldn't have like they had problems with
Menstrual
giving birth
cycles.
to a
Yeah.
baby,
They
menstrual
start losing their
cycles.
period.
Yeah, like losing even the
Mm.
children like inside the body. That's
Okay.
a
Let me
really
be.
serious and painful thing.
Wow.
And I at some point just something little things like opened in my mind,
Mm.
and I started to look at things from other side, like maybe I'm wrong finally.
Mm.
Okay, but that saved me, I think. And with later on I had already my page like Hypno Hacker, and
Okay.
some of my subscribers sent me the information about the like Weston Price.
That's
This is a
right.
really
Weston
important guy.
Price.
Yes, and what he's done, and I started to research what he's done, what was the things he opened to the world, and it really helped me to understand that I
Mm.
was just killing myself like slowly. But after that, the main thing here is I was like, wow, but there is like I had this strong feeling that veganism is something which is like like hidden truth, hidden
Mm.
from everyone. Like it
Correct.
was this little I don't know, like mystery or something you are trying, you are not this, not like the others, you know, like
Right.
it's hidden information. But then I started to think who could be the
The
someone who's
authors
interested,
who are
who is in
controlling this
that.
information.
Yes, and then after some maybe 2 years or a year and a half, the pandemic started. So we are getting
Hmm.
closer to the germ theory and to the terrain theory,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, and that was an important way I've gone through, you know. So that really helped me to understand the terrain theory and what the doctors were thrown away from the system were talking about, because you
Hmm.
can't easily find those doctors because you know, it's not really easy, or Google it.
Right.
Sometimes you can find the false information about them.
What's
And
number one or number two doctors you really kind of found a lot of good information and you said to yourself, hey,
yeah,
I'm gonna go with these two or go with this one?
yeah, I prepared even the maybe we can show you. This is the book by Dr. Cowan,
Oh, that's
The
right, Cohen,
Truth,
Dr. Cohen.
the
Yep.
truth
Contagion
about
myth.
contagion. Yes, the contagion myth. And I saw this little video of him, like it is like 10 minutes, not longer.
Hmm.
He was explaining the situation which is going on with COVID,
Right.
right? A very easy metaphor or example on dolphins who are getting ill, or frogs which are getting ill, and it was really simple,
Hmm.
so anyone could understand. Even if you're, I don't know, like teenager, you would understand what he was talking, because it's a situation is not easy for many people, because they think they cannot understand what those scientists in the white you know shirts, so
Right,
serious
right.
guys,
Yeah.
know, because they were
They have
studying
the
it for 5 years.
degrees.
Yes,
Yeah.
five,
They
ten
got the
years.
lab coats.
Yes, yes, and you cannot understand those things, but that's not true. That's a false
Hmm.
flag. That's also like a hypnosis, that illusion that works for people and stop them, makes it's made them stop, not
Hmm.
going into research. But what Dr. Cowan did, and with all his books, and he has like several,
Right.
uh, he is explaining really important things with the simple words, like
Mm.
everyone can understand.
Hmm.
You can read, and you can, you know, basics of biology, you know. So this I think he was the first one who opened to me this information, and it was amazing relief,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, when you are starting to understand, you stop being living in fear.
In one way, I was kind of grateful this all happened because
Yeah,
once I discover all this germ theory, terrain theory, everything started making sense for me as well. Because before, maybe I heard it in a distance, but I didn't really look into it.
yes,
So now I can
yes,
have the opportunity any single time I feel discomfort, any type. I don't start blaming some invisible thing I can't see. I say to
enemy.
myself, how much water are you drinking? Are you taking proper rest? Are you eating the right nutrition? What is your stress level? Are you going out with your friends drinking all the time? I used to go drinking with my friends. I don't know if you had that habit when you were younger, going out to the clubs, we're taking a lot of shots. And
Yeah.
then middle of the night, I would throw up, right? After I
Yes.
throw up the next morning, I'm in bed because I'm sweating the whole time,
Yeah, yeah,
and people will be back then, nobody blamed on some germ. They
yeah.
said that you did this to yourself, John. You know that
Yes, yes.
alcohol is going to
No,
kill you.
no victim mentality here. Just the responsibility, full, full responsibility for everything.
Exactly. So one, you can say, I'm going to push this off to germ theory. I don't take responsibility. But terrain theory that says, hey, everything is my fault, right? And I can
Yeah,
turn the situation around. And just basically what I've learned last couple of years with my own physical body, it just makes even more sense because I know that I know that I
yeah,
know. Anytime, any discomfort, any problems, I can turn it around. I can turn it around and I can't, it's not, I don't have to pray to anybody.
yeah.
I don't have to do all this stuff. It's just like, it's all within this body. And your body is just a big swimming pool. It
You are
has
not
all these different cells in
outsourcing.
it.
You are
You're
not
not outsourcing.
outsourcing your responsibility, right?
Man, I'm interested in hearing, like, so with your close friends, do you share this with them, with your own family members? When you share with them about terrain theory, germ theory, what is their response?
Yeah. So at the beginning, not so many people were listening to me, but you know, I started my work with um, giving information in the media about the GNM, like the German new medicine, right? And
Hmm.
it was the beginning. But at some points later, I just understood that not the full picture. I just used some knowledge out of this theory,
Hmm.
yeah. And when you work with people, your closest circle started to listen to you,
Mm.
even if they don't want, or if they perceive you as they knew you before, like the old you, you know, the
Right.
old version of you. But now many of my inner circle, like they see like I have a subscribers, right? I
Hmm.
do I do my work, like I have clients. I do the on air, like the live sessions with my subscribers. So at some point they started to listen to me more,
Hmm.
but at the same time I really respect the choice of everyone who
Right.
can, you know, everyone can go their own way. Like if they don't want to listen to what I'm talking about, that's okay.
Hmm.
I'm gonna tell this story, I'm gonna tell this, give this information, and someone who's looking for will see me, I think. You know,
That's
it's like just a
very
resonance.
wise.
Yeah,
That's very
if
wise.
you're
Yeah.
if you're I'm not like I was a vegan, you know, trying to convince everyone don't eat meat. It's
Right.
just killing you. I already
It's
had this.
a this different mindset, you know, because we fall into these different paradigms, right? So it could be a particular nutrition plan. I know some people
Yeah,
they hold on to, maybe say they hold on to
calories.
carnivorism, you know, they hold on to keto, they hold on to
Ah,
something.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
maybe it works for a season for this person, and then
yeah,
their body is start to respond negatively. And I think in life, we just really need to be very, take things very loosely. You know, you try something, you say, okay, I'm going to go try this. But if my body is telling me something different, or this long no longer sits with me, right?
yeah,
There's no more alignment, then I can take a different path. I can choose a different path, and that should be okay. But within
yeah.
family members, it's usually a little bit tougher because they see that version of you. They'll be like,
The
yeah, this is
old
just
one,
Sasha
the old
again,
version.
you know, telling me about this, you know, and then here we go again, you know, that's what they say, here we go again.
Mm, yeah, that was my pain actually at some point, but not my no not my mom and my father. They didn't get into this trap of the COVID.
Hmm.
They understood from the very beginning that
Wow.
that was a false flag, you know,
Wow.
like psyop.
That's
My
amazing.
Yeah, my mom was the only one throughout her friends who were not wearing mask, and people around her were like they were quarreling with her all the time. Like
Hmm.
they were saying that she's not, you know, she's
You're a bad
she's the one who's
example.
dangerous. Yeah, who's dangerous. You know, it was difficult for her. It was a difficult times for her. And my dad is really open-minded. He knows a lot of things about what's going on in the world
Wow.
right now, the politics. So I'm really happy that it wasn't, because I know so many people who were literally crying, like they have in tears because their family just
Hmm.
got into this trap, and
Yeah.
no one would listen, like even their wife and the husband, or a mom and her like grown-up children, or
Correct.
like a young woman and her parents. They were on different levels and
Yeah.
quarreling and like having this backfire on each other, you
Hmm.
know. It was, I think it was really difficult for so many people, like how this situation divided them into into different how to say it,
Yeah.
like different islands, you know, of the okay. If I mention, if you give me a chance to mention those really cool and great, let me say, even the great is better word for them,
Hmm.
professors who were not bought by this false flag operation.
Hmm.
Let's call it like that. Okay, it's Dr. Thomas Cowan, right?
Mm.
The
That's
Andrew
right.
Kaufman, because I wrote to not forget anyone. Stefano Scolio. is also the one, but unfortunately he's dead not so long time ago. It's with some, I don't know the reason. Stefan Lanka.
Hmm.
So those are doctors with a really huge and like a really long background working in the medical system. But
Right.
this, as you told me, like we are grateful for the situation because this whole COVID pandemic thing, it opened their eyes to the
Correct.
truth, and they helped others to understand what's going on actually. So
Mm.
those are the doctors. Everyone can now Google, go to find their pages. They have some pages in different platforms, not only like Instagram, because I know that Instagram was banning them for
Right. Oh
sometimes,
yeah.
like
A lot of them probably got their
yeah.
accounts shut down.
Yes, but still you can find like Odyssey. I think the platform is called like Odyssey BitChute. So they
Yep.
have pages
Odyssey.
there and really, really useful and cool information about health, about what's going on, about different documents that are being issued, but they are a lie, you know. So I think
Mm.
those names everyone should know, like those guys, right? So
Right.
yeah, if you are going back, like what is the situation in Taiwan, in Taipei? Like what do you see around you? Because you know, it's for me, it's a completely different context. Like how do you live? What do you see? Because you wrote a really sad comment not long time ago that you see that many citizens would really fall for a new wave
Oh
of this pandemic
yeah.
thing. Is
People
that
here,
true? Am I right?
unfortunately, I don't know what is wrong with people here. They're very confident in their ability. Many of them, they have degrees. They've gone to university. They have a lot of master's degrees. But at the end of the day, they blindly trust whatever is shown to them on TV. They don't really take into consideration, even with all the reports that have been coming out, you know, from the West, they
Yeah,
still latch onto, oh, this is a new strain and it only exists here in Taiwan. So this is the reason why I have to go get this new vaccine, to counter this new strain.
yeah,
And at this point, I just, like I said, I have to detach myself and just let people do whatever they want to do,
yeah,
right? I've already
yeah.
done my part. I've already made different videos in Chinese for people to view.
Yeah, I saw.
And
So it's a huge work, like a big work you've done.
oh my goodness, I don't even know if that was a good use of my time. Sometimes I think, is this a good use of my time? Maybe it's for me,
Mm-hmm.
it's just for myself, just so I can say, hey, I did this. I have much better clarity about this, so I can relay this information to my own family members. Because very gratefully, my family, they listen to me
Yeah,
regarding this whole thing.
yeah.
And they didn't fall for this whole pandemic. And even though, my parents were a little bit shaky at the time, but I told them, listen, I had a very unique set of experience from the age of 18 to 22. I was writing software for medical, institutions. So back
Yeah.
then, when I was a teenager, coworkers, they would tell me, listen, these pharmaceutical companies, they don't give a
Talk
fuck about you, your
about,
family,
yeah,
your health,
yeah.
nothing. I mean, they were older than me. They were in their 30s,
Only
40s, 50s.
finances and bank accounts, right?
Exactly. It's all about we need to keep you sick. We can't cure anything. There are no
Yeah,
cures. All these companies, they've been around 50 years, 100 years, 125 years, no cures. They do not want a cure. So when it
yeah,
comes to the situation here in Taiwan, we do have people, they are open to Chinese medicine. So that's one good thing about here in Asia, because people, they do know there are herbs that can help you.
yeah.
And you don't need to go do all this extra stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But more and more so, as the generation they grow older and older, I think that reliance, because they've been trained. When you were little, you got sick, mom took you to the hospital, they didn't take you to the Chinese medicine, and Chinese medicine is kind of like gradually phasing out, where I was hoping there would be a resurgence where people they would pay more attention to, you know, hey, there are natural ways to get all this done. Just like in every culture, I'm sure doesn't matter if you're in Russia, you're in Belarus, you're in Ukraine, everybody knows herbal remedies.
Oh, of
S-
course, of
and this has been
course.
passed down for hundreds and hundreds of years. And I think I always have to be at the forefront of, okay, I'm planning for the next thing. You know they're going to throw another false flag operation, right? So I
Yeah.
need to do everything that I can to prepare, well, not just on
Yeah.
my physical health, but other things, you know. So I'm going to jump on to the next topic,
Okay.
which would be, hey, when it comes to people struggling with social media addiction, social media programming, you know, how do you coach or give them some tools to help them detach from that programming?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a really hot topic right now because even me myself, like I'm being really strict at the moment with how much I giving my time to the social media, right?
Hmm.
Because after those four maybe a very active years of working on social media, I
Hmm.
felt inside like I lost something, and I'm really tired of those social media things.
Hmm.
And my subscribers noticing, I hope, I think so, that I'm really doing less and less posts in,
Hmm.
in working on stories and reels, but
Hmm.
it's really taking the energy out of, every
Mm.
living being who's
Wow.
using the social
Oh.
media. But you need to use this instrument really in a smart way. So
Hmm.
the only thing I can tell, which it could be probably, I hope so, really helpful to anyone who's struggling with this social media addiction, is that you're probably trying to detach from some feelings you have in your
Hmm.
life, right? And trying to, like run away into the social media,
Mm.
but it's so getting so addictive because the mechanisms they use in the TikTok and Reels and Instagram, right?
Right.
Even on these shorts on YouTube, it's the same mechanism, like, and it's really addictive. And the moment you start looking at what am I actually running from in my
Right.
real life,
Mm.
what's going on there,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
you start to watch this thing and being really like sincere with
Hmm.
yourself, at this point the changes will come in naturally. Because
Mm.
every time I find myself looking for something on media, even if I'm looking for something in my circle of interests, right? I'm
Right.
not watching the reels just for fun. I'm watching some people I'm a fan of, or I like the work they do, and so on. I try to to look at this point, like, what am I running away from now?
Mm. Hmm.
Am I really in need with this information? Am I really craving for the
Mm.
information, or am I just trying to, I don't know, run away from anxiety? Because we are all living in anxiety. We don't know what will come next.
Right.
Actually, I have a small video on my Instagram account, but everyone can find this video, I think, on YouTube. It's Kathleen Taylor, and she's talking about how reprogram people, how easily it could be done if you have five basic lines. You are using five basic things,
Hmm.
and those things are, like I wrote, not to forget, like isolation and control. What we had during pandemic, right? Everyone was
Right.
controlled and everyone was in isolation. So someone was making working on psy operation at that moment. So the third thing is that when it's no certainty, no, you are not certain
Right.
what will happen next. Everyone experienced that, right? And everyone was sitting on the social media trying to find information all about these viruses, which cities, blah, 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 what's going on around, right?
Mm.
And the repetition, like everything repeats itself all the time, like the same things, and emotions.
Mm.
So if someone's trying to actually, if to talk about the psychological sphere, those are the things what narcissists are doing with their partners in
Mm.
the relationships. It's the same thing, like amazing,
Mm.
right? And the
Mm.
governments and the system is using those principles against us.
Mm.
And this Kathleen Taylor is an Oxford professor. It's not like a girl from street, She wrote a book about this, about how to reprogram the brain, how to make propaganda becoming something people are like living in trust with, like
Right.
trust, right?
How do you
Am I clear?
develop a cult mindset and people are
Yeah,
addicted to this
yeah,
mindset?
yeah. So when people realized, like, this video really helped lots of people to understand that something is going on. Like, it couldn't be that all those principles were used during the pandemic, like just it was a circumstance. No, it was made very in a precise way. They used this weapon against our brains, right? Yeah.
Wow, I
So
definitely want to watch that
yeah,
video, so definitely send that to me later.
yeah,
I think that would be
okay,
very useful. I think for me, social media addiction in the past, and I'm still, working through it. I'm not perfect. Basically, I found myself looking for stupid people. What I mean by that is there's going to be a video. It could be anything, arguing about something. And I'm not really looking at the video. I'm looking at how many stupid people are under the comments. And that could be a form of addiction for me because God
yeah.
damn, another stupid fuck right here. I was like, another one, and another one. I'm like, this is unbelievable. It's like, after 4 or 5 years, this bullshit, you still believe in this? So I had to detach my time and attention away from that.
Attention,
And
right?
recently, I uh, off, uh, basically deleted most of my social media stuff off my phone. So right now, only posting, because I want to maybe get my message out there, do some lives out there. But all these other stuff, I deleted Thread, deleted my Twitter. So
Amazing.
maybe for like the next 30 days, so it's like a test, I just want to
Yeah,
detach myself because we were thinking about talking to how they make shut down the electric grid, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm thinking they're using the electric grid to keep us addicted to this media stuff. So it's almost like if they take away from it too long, people
yeah.
might start waking up, be
Of
like,
course.
what the hell's going on? I didn't
Uh-huh.
need all this stuff from before. I'm happier. I feel a lot calmer. I don't have anxiety. So
Connected to real life, to real
exactly.
people.
I can
Yeah.
actually have conversations, whereas before you see people at the coffee
Wow.
shop.
People are alive.
Yeah, it's like they're on a date. They're on a date, but they're on their phones, while they're on
Yeah.
their date.
Mm.
And I think how they may do it is kind of like what Spain did. So they did a 3 day, right? 3 day is not too long, it's not too short. So they may do like this different short term,
Yeah.
electric grid taken out just to get you that itch. It's like, I must have my internet. I must have my internet. So you finally get it back, and now you're right back at it with a stronger addiction, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but for people, they decide to, hey, I got along without social media for 3 days. Why don't I try for four? I've already made plans. We're gonna go out, have some fun, play golf, go play frisbees at the beach. And I think you being so well traveled, because I know you've been to Portugal, you've been to Spain,
Yeah.
you see the lifestyle that people have over there, the
Different.
rhythm is very different, right?
It's
They're
very
not like, oh,
different.
what's going on? What's going on? I'm very anxious. They have the time to themselves. They go home, they have a nice lunch with their family.
Yeah.
Did they take siestas? Siestas is very
Yeah.
normal in
In
Spain, isn't that?
Portugal, if you compare people in Portugal and people in, I don't know, in Russia, in Belarus, in Poland even,
Mhm.
that's those are completely different lifestyles. Because if you are in Lisbon and you see how much time do people spend with the ocean, with their family, talking to each other, it's a huge amount of time. And
Mm,
here in Europe, no, it's like always on the phone, like sitting, checking something, writing something, like touching the screens, and it's all designed, like even how you touch the screen, how your head is, the posture, it's all designed to take your health out, like to
mm,
take control out from your life, to take the taste of life out from from your control, from your life also. And yeah, it's maybe it's time to just look around and ask yourself, but why I'm so detached, like what I don't like in my real life,
mm.
so I need this instrument to get these feelings I'm from the screen.
Right.
Because even like, yeah, we use this screen right now, we are talking to each other, right? And you are so far from Moscow, from Russia, from Belarus, right? And
Hmm.
at the same time, um, this like what the point I would like to tell here, like, is something is free, then you are the product, you know?
Mm.
It's a really meaningful thing that helped me to think in a different way. Am I clear with this?
Yeah,
If
I
if
think you are. So
something
you
if
have the
something is
platform.
given, yeah, if something is given for you for free, and we are not paying to Instagram, right? We
Not
are
right
not
now,
giving
but
money to them, yeah.
unfortunately, I do run advertisements, so I do have to pay in
Yeah,
secret.
I know. Okay, but we are not talking about
Right.
this, you know, this scheme. We are talking about the regular user.
Yeah.
People are using Instagram for free. They just register there, and then you have this world, right?
Hmm.
So who's the product?
Yeah.
Maybe your attention, maybe your life, maybe your time,
Right.
maybe your health.
Yeah.
That's a game changer
Yeah.
for many people. Like if you
Money,
just start
attention,
talking like that,
energy, and time.
yeah,
So time is much
and
for
connection,
many people, it's connected to money, right? So
yeah.
how you're spending your time is an extension of yourself. And I just want to be more, I would say more intentional. So when I do go online, when I do share information out there, I like to people, maybe they don't watch live right now, but later on they
Yeah.
may come on and be like, hey, I am going to go look at some of these different authors that Sasha talked about, right? I'm going to have a better understanding what is taking place in another part of the world. Maybe they end up traveling over here, and people's their mindset are very, very different. You just have to
Hmm.
prepare yourself for that. Or people that are traveling from here to there,
Yeah.
And I
Mm.
think it's important for me to connect with other like-minded people because the road ahead is not going to be easy. And the more clear-minded people that you have in your circle, the better. Because some people they've already done the research, right? So you're like, hey, how much research have you done regarding this? And we have these files of folders that we can just go through. So I don't have to start from scratch anymore. What
Yeah.
I'm preparing is when something new that comes on. In American personal development, they always talk about Murphy's Law. Murphy's
Hmm.
Law.
Hmm.
Basically, anything that can go wrong
Yep.
eventually will go wrong. So
Yeah.
rather than being a spectator, being very reactive to the situation, you're being proactive. You're like, hey, bad things are probably going to happen. So why don't I prepare for that in advance as best as I possibly can? Not just from my mindset, my physical body,
Yeah.
maybe have some extra water in the house, just for whatever, have a rice and beans, coconut water. So you have some backup plans because
Absolutely true. Absolutely. Like I agree to that 100%. And I have no idea where will I be, right? Maybe I won't be near my backpack I have, because I have
hmm
really huge backpack with gas and food and stuff like that. But it's it should be there. It's standing in the like in my room. I can see it,
right,
and then maybe I won't use it because I'll be in the different part of the city or in other city, but someone will use it. That's
right,
not my decision, right? It's not
right.
something I can control. But at the same time, I did what I can, and I'm still doing what I can in order
hmm
to provide the information which I'm able to get from this chaotic informational ocean
hmm
full of false things and lies and delusions.
hmm
And somehow people are finding this island I'm trying to create in this ocean, right?
hmm
Uh, and sometimes it's difficult, but sometimes it's really helpful because even if something will happen and we don't know what exactly will happen. Actually, I have a question about your what's going on in Taiwan on this point about the digital currency. Like, are people aware of what's coming and how the monetary system are working in your country right now? But it's really helpful to just stop and think that you're somehow connected to the something bigger, which
hmm
coordinates everything here. And I really feel that this is something is working here, not like
Yeah, and I'm pretty
something bigger.
sure that'll be the next thing they do because, well, we're thankfully for Taiwan, we're very, very heavy on cash.
Yeah,
Cash is king here. I mean,
everyone,
I don't
everywhere,
care.
right?
it is very, very strong. You start touching people's cash,
Hmm.
they're gonna get very, very angry, and that's a good thing. I want to keep it that way
Wow. Wow, that's
because
amazing.
over here, people are so respectful about their cash, how they place their cash. And you can say about religious, I know some people, they post on social media, maybe they win some money at the lottery. The next thing they do, they take out all this cash at the bank. They're taking it to the temple. They're taking like suitcases of all this cash just so
Wow.
they can put it at the temple so they can take a photo of it. So that's in the back of a lot of Taiwanese people's minds. They'll be like, cash is king. Even the gods, they accept cash. Okay?
Not the
The,
card.
not yeah, the cars, I don't, they just don't trust it. The car can get the decline, right? And of course, you have the priests that work at the temples, and some of them are extremely, extremely respected by the community. And of course, they only communicate to the gods for you on cash behalf.
You know, the Russia, this it's the same here, like or in Belarus, it's the same.
Oh, I love that. Keep that on lock. But how they going
I mean the
to basically,
religion and the money. I mean the religion and the money.
oh,
Okay.
religion and money, doesn't matter if it's Orthodox, doesn't matter if it's,
Yeah, yeah.
Calvins, they will bring in the
But
cash, because God will bless
tell
you. God will give you 30, 60, 100 fold. It's like,
But tell me, do people are people aware in Taiwan, for example, or maybe you know, like some kind of percentage that digital currency is not the same like the money on the card on the bank account we have now? Are they
man,
aware
I
of
don't
that
think,
thing?
no, I don't think people have a good understanding of all
Understanding?
those
Hmm.
dynamics. And there are
Yeah,
young
that's a sad
kids, they
thing.
are going into, the cryptocurrency side of things.
Yeah.
And of course, how that is going to play out. I think it doesn't matter whether if they use digital currencies or they use, Bitcoin or whatever. Both of them, it's a cashless society, right? It's almost like picking between two politicians. And some people there is just completely about Bitcoin and Ethereum. They think these things are going to save their lives. Okay.
Okay.
What the
Yeah.
governments can do, they can basically crash you. They'll be like, well, we just don't give you power for 30 days. Okay? You can't access any of your stuff. It's
Yeah.
just locked away. Your computer is going to run out of battery unless you have a
Yeah.
power generator, all these different things. So I think my plan is, one step at a time. I do have a pretty big vision about how it's going
Yes.
to look, but it has to be decoupled, from these different systems, one thing at a time. And very thankful. I've been working on my health the last couple of years. I'm very grateful for it because if you are sick and the hospital doesn't have electricity,
Yeah.
you're in trouble.
And a
I
big
don't care
trouble.
who you
Right.
are. You want to do
Yeah.
whatever you can to stay away or have the presence of mind. Hey, we're in a place right now where people need to be aware of their surroundings. I actually brought my little tool today, and I highly recommend some of your viewers to do because they are cranking up their EMFs. So one
Oh
thing we can
yeah.
all agree on is the EMF that is increasing in our surroundings.
It's crazy
And
how big it is. Crazy. I
mhm,
saw the video actually from your
yeah,
account, how you are measuring
I'm
all those
measuring.
things. Like that's
I'm measuring
crazy.
in my own surroundings. You can take a reading. It's a great science experiment. You can work with your kids, with your children, or, nephews and nieces.
Yeah, it's even
You take it to
interesting
the
for them.
microwave if you
Yeah.
have one. Not everybody has a microwave. And you can say, okay, when the microwave is on, I can take a reading, right?
Yes.
And afterwards, we're going to take this to the wireless router. Okay, maybe you take it to the wireless router, turn it on, and give it a reading, write it down. So I think, or when I'm using my phone, when I'm not streaming anything, when I'm not doing anything, maybe checking my email, it'll give you a reading. But if I'm downloading from YouTube, that'll give you another reading. Now you
Wow.
have this understanding of how much electromagnetic frequencies that is coming into my environment.
But
Because this is the invisible bullshit they want to surround you with because it's going to
yeah.
make you sick and it's all about, oh, they want to make you completely wireless. They want to do the Elon Musk, put a computer chip inside your head, right? And that's the
Yeah.
next thing I
That's
think they will be
so
pushing
crazy. That's
on their kids. And
satanic rituals, really. But you see what's happening. You're telling people about what I faced. Like, you're telling people that EMFs are dangerous, right?
they,
It's a dangerous thing. And they go to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT gives them the answer that this is not true. This
oh,
is a
yeah.
and even
The
if you show,
over-reliance.
them, if you even show this, this little thing which making crazy sound like because it's the crazy amount of EMFs around it, to trust you because they trust ChatGPT and not your experience, not your research, not your knowledge, not even if you mention the books or the scientists who are talking about
Right.
that. That's so crazy, that the deception I really can't stand sometimes. Like, the only thing sometimes I want is having my own community, going into the far place in the forest and just live there, because it's a nonsense what's going on right now with this chat GPT and the trust people are giving in this machine.
Sasha, I just want you to know sometimes my Instagram, it only locks me to 1 hour of
Oh,
live. So
yeah,
if this thing
yeah.
shuts down, I just want you to know it's just connection issues because the
Yeah.
internet
I know.
cuts me down.
It's a timing in Instagram, and maybe it's sometimes better to finish prior the Instagram will shut down our live.
hmm
So maybe I don't know how long are we talking already?
We're talking
One
right around one
hour.
hour.
One
I
hour.
think
Okay.
we've covered quite a bit. So we talked about COVID, we talked about power outage, talked about terrain and germ theory, social media programming, how to do your best to detach from this madness, a little bit about EMFs. No, we didn't cover critical thinking. Maybe we'll cover another time. But
Yeah.
technocracy. So I think those are the key items I'm be watching out for the young generation, especially now they're just using their cards to pay for different things.
Yeah.
So they have a cashless mind. It's like, oh, I can use my card. Sometimes it's just like a travel card. We have a travel card for your subway, but the subway card, you can use it and go to the 7-Eleven and pay for groceries,
Yeah.
whatever you want to pay for. So
Yes.
young kids, they're attaching their mind to a cashless society. And you have a great point about ChatGPT. I'm using ChatGPT too, but I'm older, So I'm like, I know it's full of bullshit
Yeah.
because I've already tested it. I
Yes.
tested it with different questions and they lie to you straight out. So unless you have some background, you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to trust this machine completely. And there are people that are developing AIs and little chat agents or their future girlfriends. They're communicating with their chat GPT AI girlfriend. And some people, they're so entrenched with their girlfriends, with their AI that they created, they're willing to commit suicide for these bots
Yeah.
because they're so close to it.
Yes.
These AIs, they're telling them your life is worthless. Just go kill yourself. You tell that to a 16-year-old kid,
Mm.
doesn't have any friends. The only friend that he has is his AI girlfriend. That's how much of an attachment he has. He's going to go do what the AI is going to tell him to do,
No.
So for your parents out there, I know you have a wide audience. A lot of them are probably parents. I
Yeah,
want
they
them
are.
to have the presence of mind and be like, you need to somehow not from a place of fear. You need to have a replacement, or you can say a substitute, where a healthier environment. It could be sports, it could be hanging out at the beach with their friends, something that will give them doing something completely different.
Yeah. I hope we like the whole video we made. We will not look like this crazy conspiracy theorist, from this picture, the funny one. I'm really sometimes when I'm trying to show people,
Yeah,
this picture, right?
dude, that's me. I sent that to my friend years ago. I have a very
Yeah.
good friend. I sent that photo to her in the past, and then she kind of brushed it off initially. But what transpired, over the fake pandemic, she's like, holy shit, John was right this whole time.
Yes.
Because I was on
Yes.
the board. I was like, dude, I am that
Show
guy,
showing these dots which are connected. Yeah, but
Exactly.
really, when you understand the pattern, like from the one point in one sphere, then you can see the same patterns all around. It's like, for example, when you try to understand how the history about the heart is not a pump and heart is a pump was created, because heart is not a pump, and Dr. Tom Cowan is talking about that, and it's very important topic. You see how, you know, this pattern was created. I really wanted to tell this story today. I think it will be helpful to people, like very useful, who will watch our video, I hope, right? So, you know, from the point where René Descartes, it was the guy who started to create this, to share this information and to give the opinion that heart is a pump. He was a Jesuit, and from this point, this information started to spread out and changing the whole system. So when you understand how that situation worked out and how they did it, how they put this false information into the
I want to learn more about that.
and into the sphere. And Jesuits are those who are everywhere in different spheres, in psychology, in sciences, in architecture, everywhere, like in the art. They are putting this one guy who's starting to give the false information, and then this spreads, right?
Yeah, it's a
so
seed
when you see this
that
pattern,
they plant.
so why I'm started to talking about this picture with this guy, like, because when you understand this pattern, you can connect the dots from there to here, and you can find the answers really easily in almost any sphere. Like if you go into search how vitamins were created, like how they found out that vitamins exist, you find the same pattern. The heart is not a pump, the same pattern. Then this book, Béchamp or Pasteur, can you see this, right?
Antoine Béchamp, this is about the terrain theory
the
or
lost,
environment theory.
The lost chapter, the history of biology. It's the same pattern. They changed the guy, like who opened up the microzymes and the somatids to another guy, like right, and then the whole story changed, and then it brought us here into narrative we have now. But the thing is that, imagine when you understand those patterns and you start feeling that there is no enemy and the body is the friend, and there is no narrative like the war even inside of us, like immune system is killing the cells, blah blah. There is no war. It's something that cleans us up to make us live better and healthier. And you stop seeing that this pattern is everywhere around, where they are, these bad guys dividing us and trying to make us be at war with ourselves, with the world, with the nature, with the nations, with the woman and man, because we also see this narrative, and this disbalance is one of the core thing that kills the, you know, that brings us the whole problem, right? The whole narrative is standing on these pillars, and that's so easy. Like I really like this picture with these guys connecting the dots, because it's this thing.
Do you have that on your wall? Do you have it printed out on the wall, and then you have your face? This is actually me.
I think I do this after. It's a great idea. I'll do this one. I'll send you the picture later. We have a question here. Have all watched?
Yeah, go ahead. Well, let me see. So this is Gino. Gino says, "Have y'all watched THX 1138 by George Lucas?" I have not seen this film. Is it a film or a documentary? So I'm going to screenshot this so I remember it later. Actually,
after I got the information that George Orwell was working for MI6, I stopped reading many books and many authors, because it's the same pattern everywhere. They try to make a vision. They put those hallucinations from the very beginning of our lives that this is our future. But our future is not the pictures they shown us in those movies like Robocop, in those books like Orwell, in this, I don't know, everywhere you can go, put your eyes on, you see those patterns, of the false future we are going into. But the morphic resonance is what help us to communicate, to coordinate, and connect with each other. So the nature is on our side, and I believe that those forces are helping us. Somehow we found each other on the internet.
That's correct. That is correct. I have to trust in the invisible forces. We talk about there are invisible forces that work against you,
like
the EMFs,
energy,
things we don't really see. People that could use feng shui in a positive way. Like this hotel is actually has a lot of Japanese background. So you can see like some of the colors, and the colors
Yeah,
that they chose.
I do.
And so they focus a lot about feng shui, but feng shui in itself, you can weaponize feng shui as well, and you can target it and use it in a very negative way against people. So it's all about how you're going to use this tool, right? I truly believe they can create internet without all the radiation. They can probably do it. It's doable,
Agree.
you know,
Agree. 100%
without
agree to
all
your
the
point.
harmful radiation that's going to harm your cells
Yeah,
or going to cause a lot of
synthetic clothing I have right now on me.
mm, are you moving? So, and then I wanted to ask you because in a previous video that I saw, you had a beautiful library behind you, and there was like all these old books, you know. I wonder if you're like an old book collection. You collect a lot of old books from the 1800s, What is your, hobbies outside of you know,
With the hobbies, it's a really difficult thing because my main hobby was just researching, So I have my books, but actually about the books and collection of the books, it's so funny because so many books I just thrown them away because I understood that they were just programming me, or they
mm,
are bullshitting me, or they are changing my vision into this incorrect the
mm,
direction, right? Or the
mm-hmm.
author was just not. So it's just amazing. Now I have like maybe the like 15 main books standing on my shelves, and others are changing. Like I read, I gave it, and
Oh,
blah blah blah.
I love
Yeah,
it.
but what?
I would love to
Yeah,
see your book list, because there are a couple of books I don't just read one time. There are a couple of books that I
yeah,
read thoroughly consistently because every single time I read it, I was like, how did I miss this the first couple of times that I read it? Because you as a person, you change, you upgraded,
yeah,
or your level of thinking have changed. So now when you read the book again, something pops out at you, all
yeah,
out of nowhere.
yeah,
And it's a very refreshing experience.
yeah. And you also have like many books, or just how is that with you? Like,
So for me, I
yeah,
definitely read a lot of books in the past. And of course, most of them, they were not very helpful, but it was part of the journey.
yeah,
Sometimes you would hold on to certain authors and then you're really into this thing and then you're like, okay, I'm doing this thing, but it's not really working. But now I'm going to maybe take some of this information and move it
yeah,
into the next set of thing that I'm doing. I
yeah,
think one of the things is you have to keep things moving. You can't just say just because I didn't get a lot of results from reading this book. Maybe that book isn't for you in that season, but
yeah.
later on you might pick it up again and be like, wow, now I'm getting a lot out of it. And
Oh,
one
so.
thing that's really
Mhm.
important for me is really defining the word. I think a lot of people, they don't take definitions very seriously. When you're talking about an English word, you have to go back either the Latin or the Greek roots. People are not activating their words correctly. They're not illuminating their words. They just don't know the definition. And that's another plan of the dark occult because they don't want you to know the real definition of a word. If you always use the definition in the wrong way, the vibration, the energy that you send it out into the world, into the universe,
Yeah,
they will have no effect. And you can say that about the mindset, the frameworks, different models of frameworks. They want you to just be a good repeater information. So I've been going into ChatGPT. One thing that's been helpful for me, maybe some of you can do this, is like, how do the elites actually train their children in compared to what they do, with regular children? Can you just give me some key insights? Because I have so many documents in the past, and right now, what I do is I take this PDF, it could be thousands and thousands of pages. And now I am throwing it back into ChatGPT and said, give me a summary because I can't go through this 1,000 pages that very quickly, but this machine can. And these are very, very well thought out principles that the elites they live by. It's because they're raising their kids differently. They're training them to be leaders. They don't train them to be a worker. How they manage their time, how they see time, you know,
yes, yeah,
how they have a system of thinking in process. So Mark Passio also talks about this. He teaches about the trivium. What is the grammar, logic, and rhetoric, right? What is the grammar, what we're looking at? What is the logic behind it? And what is the rhetoric, the why? But the world there will focus on over here is that the reason why you should do this, and they want to convince you your life will be happier. You know, you have this medical condition. Just take this drug. Trust me,
Yeah,
because your life
disillusion.
is black and white. But now after you take this drug, wow, now you
Suddenly,
see life in color. You
miracle.
have color now. It's a
Wow.
miracle. But nobody goes back. Who, what, where, when? Who says this? What makes it so? Where are this confirming evidence? Are there any short-term or long-term side effects? How does it actually work? The rich, that's how they coach their children. But the poor and the plebs, how they coach is don't question. Don't ever question. Just do what
Hmm.
the doctor tells you to do. Because they're the
Yeah,
ones with the lab coat. They have the medical
yeah.
degrees.
Don't
And
ask
who
the
are you to say,
questions. Yes,
yeah,
the scientism.
I'm very, very grateful. I will say, if I ever meet your mother, I would say spasibo, because your mother, I can already tell she's a very, very wise lady. She doesn't take shits for
Yeah.
shits, she's like, I don't give a crap what my friends think, I'm not gonna wear this fucking mask. Go.
The same here, the same. Big respect to the, all the relatives which were previous, giving life one by one to your, to your bloodline. It's amazing how many people, due to this situation with pandemic, just opened their eyes. And I'm really, like, as we told in the beginning, I'm really
Mm,
grateful to meet all of them, because at some point, like 10 years ago, I felt so lonely with all my research I did just for myself. And now
hmm.
I'm standing in the point where I found the basics to the creating some true meaning, some, some purpose, and I feel it, like I'm connected finally, and I'm not like alone. It's amazing. I would like to
You had
finish.
a very interesting, I'm gonna have to ask you this
Yeah, yeah.
important question. You
Hmm.
mentioned a very important keyword. The keyword is bloodline. When I say the word bloodline, what does that mean to you? And, what are the significant things that come up for you?
For It's a very good question, actually, because the blood is the life. It's the life running through your veins, which is not pumped by heart. It's moved
Mm,
by other forces we don't have the whole information about, right?
mm,
But in your blood, through your blood, you can connect to all previous generations,
mm,
which are connected through your body, through your blood, to your mind,
mm,
vibrationally. And I don't like word genetically, because there are no DNA it's like a viruses, okay, they are not existing.
mm-hmm,
But these vibrations which were craved and giving you in the top of the bloodline, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's
Maybe
a whole
like a
story.
mission, would be like a family mission, maybe some
Yeah,
special gifts that you
yeah,
had. I've
yeah.
been diving deep into this topic recently as well because it
That's
hasn't been a very, very big thing for me. But this is something that elites, that's what they're focused on. They're always focused on the continuation of their bloodline
yeah,
and what they're going to do. 100 years
yes,
from now, 200 years from now, 300, they have
yes,
that mindset.
yeah,
It's like for
yes,
the rest of us, they don't give a fuck about us.
yeah,
Their whole thing is your bloodline is not important.
yeah,
You're here to work
yeah,
and basically become our slave, right?
yes.
So until you start to
Or
recognize
or battery to
or
their
battery,
system,
right? You
not
become
to your own like the, the family tree, but
correct,
to they. When
correct.
you are not connected to your bloodline, you are a battery to someone else.
That's
That's
right.
easy as that.
If you're on this call, I want you guys to know you're very important. Maybe you don't have all the answers right now. But right now, you're here in this season, this life, you're listening to this broadcast. It's not by accident. There is a purpose and a plan for you. Okay, I'm like a
Yeah.
Christian now. Can somebody say amen?
Yes, agree. Support to your point. And we have some questions, but
Okay.
before answering the questions, I would really like to know, and maybe then after you tell my things, what are the most important and fascinating things that opened up to you through those 5 years after the pandemic started? Like maybe top 3 or top 5 things that were really game changer for you, like.
Man, I recovered my health. I turned my health around 180. My health wasn't in a very, very good place, even though physically I look great,
Yeah,
But a
but
lot of people they
what
look
was the
great.
basic knowledge? What was the basic knowledge for you, which would help you
So
to change the situation with the health?
very, very common problem. Constipation or zapor, is that how
Yeah,
you say it in Russian?
yeah, yeah,
So
yes.
chronic
Yeah.
constipation, very big problem in my own personal life in the past.
Digestion problem,
Digestive
right?
problems.
Yes.
So when you have any type of digestive problems, you're going to have many other problems.
Yeah,
And the doctors, they do not want you to fix those problems. Then
exactly.
I learned about internal parasites, how to get those parasites out of the body. But now, even though last couple of years, I've improved the condition of my liver. So you have the liver, the gallbladder.
Yeah.
Gallbladder, you may have gallstones sitting inside of them. I personally done this protocol over 60 plus times. So I know the whole process. It's not easy. None of this stuff is easy, what I'm sharing. But going to the hospital is not easy. Having the doctor probing up your butt
Uh-huh.
is not easy, okay?
But the taking a pill is so easier.
Yeah, and they will suppress that pain and discomfort in the short term, and that's their goal. So
Yes.
I would say top one would be, hey, I have a much better understanding, comprehension, how I can fix my own personal health. I don't leave it to chance. I do not want to be at the hospital. I know these doctors cannot fix me. I was just at the hospital a couple months ago. I had to take a family
Yeah.
member there, and I just saw all the bullshit in the ICU because from my own knowledge, what I researched, I look at all these different patients that were there. They were not there because they got into a motorcycle accident, car accident. No, they were there because they were dealing with chronic diseases. They had failing liver, failing kidneys. You can see their whole face. It was completely jaundiced or very, very yellow. And they had no energy. Some guy who was younger than me, his feet, they were very, very swollen, completely swollen up. These are all signs of liver and kidney damage. So past 5 years, I would say, okay, the pandemic happened. But the top one is listen, I have more confidence, very humbly. I always knock on wood. I always say, hey, I'm very humble about it because there's something more I can learn and improve my own personal health. Next, I was able to take this information and help my own family members with it. So in many ways, I've already won, because as you said, it's like I need to focus on myself, focus on my family. If
Yeah.
other people, they're attracted to this information, I could be that extending hand. I do coach people in this area,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
I'm not going to be pushing it. Before, like you said, I was kind of like, you had that vegan mindset. It's like, you're a bad person for eating meat.
Propaganda.
Okay. I got my flyers, and before I was like, listen, you have all these health problems. You're coming to me and I'm telling you, this is what you need to be fixing because if you have Zapor, if you're chronically constipated, you're in big trouble. And people
Yeah.
are thinking and asking you, why do you smell all the time? You have very bad body odor, even though you wash your clothes
Yeah.
still stink because you have all this poop still sitting inside of you. And
Inside
when
of
I
you,
share
yeah.
this information with them, they're like, no, John, this sounds way too complicated. And I would be very defensive about it. Now I'm just like, maybe they're not in the place to receive that information, and that's perfectly fine.
Mm.
I just have to
Yes.
detach from it all. I think one thing that I've learned is like health and also detach. And that's kind of in line with what you shared about all this social media, learning how to distance yourself properly. I don't have to post all the time. You know, I know what I'm doing here, and it doesn't matter if people respond or don't respond. If I go live and nobody shows up, I don't care. I'm
Yeah.
doing it to
You
maybe
just
to
give the
practice
information there.
for for my own benefit. I need to work on my communication skills, making sure people understand when I'm sharing information with them. But how people respond to the situation or information, that's totally up to them. I can't control the outcome. One thing I was trying to Uh, I would say it's also addiction. Some people they have it if they're a social worker. Maybe some people they're actually trying to do it in the ministry in churches. They try to take on all the burdens of other people. And that
Yes.
in itself is a big mistake, I think, and gets people very, very tired out. They start to break down their physical body because they already have a lot of inner problems within themselves. They already have a lot of energetic blocks, and now they're trying to take on from other people's energetic blocks. I think you really have to focus what's right here, your own mindset, your physical body, and from there, then you have the extension to help out others. So I can probably just give you two, So number one, my own personal health, and number two would be detachment, learning to detach even more.
Yeah, to respect your own borders of time and attention, and yeah,
Correct.
yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely.
amazing, amazing. But that's an outcome, and that's the conclusion, and that's the great lessons you got from this whole process we gone through during those 5 years. Amazing. I think that so many of I don't know, my circle, your circle, our subscribers,
Hmm.
they need to work on those points too, like, because it was very helpful in order to move forward and not to go in circles like we told in the beginning, just to move higher and higher.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm so grateful, Sasha came on this call. Like I said, I knew this would be an amazing conversation.
I
We have
agree,
a lot of
absolutely.
wonderful topics, and even though we never spoke before in person, we have so many things in alignment, and I really look forward to connecting, with you and other people. And we want to kind of collaborate and just share information, when we come across information
Yes.
that could be very helpful, just send some messages here and there. And I think that's how we're going to get the broader picture. And that's how we can better prepare ourselves. Because if this is the game that we're playing for longevity, right?
Yeah.
We're looking
Yeah.
for passing this good information down, to the next generation. Because the person that I am now, in many ways, I'm so grateful I did not get married when I was young and had kids. Because without this information, it's really tough. It's very possible my kids could be vaccine injured.
Yeah, amazing that you haven't done that. Imagine.
Right.
Sometimes I'm think about that. That's you even wouldn't have time for research,
Mm-hmm.
because all your attention goes in your family, into
Mm-hmm.
your children, and then you start running in this circle, as we told, like a hamster, like
Right.
so many, not in a bad way. Not, I'm not talking about families in a bad way. I mean that there is the system we live in that makes us running to, to just survive and give the protection to our family. But so many people don't have time to investigate, to research, to find out what's happening. And they
Mm.
fall for this trap. And that's so
Mm.
sad when you see the outcomes. And I had so many messages also, like from the parents who are so sorry for that. They made
Mm-hmm.
this mistake with vaccinations, with
Right.
vaccination of their children.
I'm
They're so
also
sorry about that.
I'm also trying to do my best to learn from the mistakes of others. What I've learned is why do people they fall into the trap of Satanism? Why do they fall into the trap of maybe they come in
Satanism,
a community,
Satanism or Sionism?
Satanism,
Satanism,
Satanism.
yeah, okay.
So maybe a young kid, there's a guy, his name is Zachary King, and he comes from a very conservative family in the US. They went to church, they went to all these different events, very normal family. But one thing about Zachary's family, his parents were very strict. They told him, hey, you can't have candy, you can't do this, you can't read these books, right? So he felt very, very,
I make a video of
restricted.
our.
Okay.
Sorry, okay, you
And
can
what
talk.
happens is that, well, he wanted more out of life, and one thing led to another. He's at a neighbor's house. Over at his neighbor's house, they have all the candy that he ever wanted, okay? And then they invite him to do child porn at the age
Oh
of
my
11 or
goodness.
12.
Oh,
And he falls into it because back home, all my parents would say, no, 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 no. But over here, they say yes to life. So when you're 11, 12 years old, you're like, why would I want to go back what my family has? And his parents, they trust this other family because they all attended church together. Isn't that crazy? Here's another example. You know, people in America, they have a lot of Amish communities.
Yes.
They went from Germany, Switzerland, Hutterites, Amish, Mennonites. They don't use electricity. Some of them they do now, but also very, very, I would say, very, very, some of them very close cult, communities. And they get reprimanded. They're like, hey, sister, you're growing way too many flowers in your garden. That is too worldly. I don't want you to do that. So they're like, we're just trying to grow flowers. What the fuck, So now she's like, I want to get away from these stupid barns. I want to get away from. So sometimes when you go so extreme, so this lady, she decided to become a stripper. She's like, I want to go do my stripping. Fuck these, farms. I want to be a hot Amish stripper. So that's what she did. And now she's on Instagram sharing about her different stories. And I'm just thinking, we need to stop taking detours like that. We need to somehow have the presence of mind. It's like sometimes maybe we have a good blueprint. I think what we're developing right now, like you're developing a blueprint, not just for your health, for how you see different mental frameworks. You can see, well, there are different silos that they give you, and every last one of them is a trap. They want to trap you in these silos. Kind of like if you go to Monaco, you can go to the casino, but the
Yeah.
citizens of Monaco, they cannot go to the casino.
Casino.
They're protecting their citizens from developing that gambling addiction. We need to have that blueprint on, have that book kind of like ready to go. But I think the way how we coach it to the next generation, it has to be done in such a way where they're enticed. We have to somehow entice them, kind of like how people are enticed to social media. They want to have this information installed in their background because if you go on this narrow path, broad is the road, wide is the door that leads to destruction. Many enter through it. But small is the door, narrow the road that leads to life. Only a few may find it, right? Can
Yeah.
I get an amen out here? So how do we entice people to go on this narrow door or this narrow road? But if you're on this narrow door, your life is just going to spiral up. You want people spiraling up. They can see their physical body spiral. They can see their finances spiral up. They can see their relationships spiral up. And then before that bullshit happens, they're like, I know that bullshit's going to happen. So I already prepared myself so I'm not going to fall for that bullshit. That's
Yeah.
the type of discernment you want to train up. I would say if you're bloodline focused, if you're focused on training up the next generation, you got to be the strongest version of yourself. There's going to be a very, very good blueprint that you're going to go by, that you can pass down. But it's also about their buy-in. How they're going to buy into this information. Hey, what's going on? Is it Julia?
Yeah, the Julia. It's Helen is writing there.
Hello.
Yeah, I think that everyone who's didn't lose the connection inside within with the soul. If they sit in a quietness in a peaceful place, they can hear the soul crying for having this sense in the life, like the crying that something important is missing out there. And what the system is doing, they creating the wall within every one of us, so we can't hear the soul crying, but we only feel this emptiness inside, and we started to put what the system is giving us, like the clothes, the trends, the technology,
items.
the adventures, the changing the relationship, every sort of senseless things that can like hold this emptiness inside for some time.
Right.
But then the life finished because we have, you know, some time here, and the people lost the time. They cannot find the meaning till the end of the life. But when you somehow, and I know many people did this, not only through the pain like I had experience, or through just curiosity, natural rise, right? Many different types. You can take this wall up and start to connect it within yourself, with your own soul, and asking questions inside of you. You can even not speak about that or write it down. You just have it inside you. Somehow the path is starting to build, and you started to find every step. Like sometimes you go back because it was misleading, right? But because you didn't listen to your voice, but somehow the road is building. And I really believe that if you hear that voice of your soul asking for finding the sense, then you find the answers. And the information, I think, that can turn on this connection are those 5 things I would like to mention right now, if you are not, if you are agree to that, right?
Definitely,
okay.
Definitely. Let's do it.
I think that information about morphic resonance is helping.
Resonance, okay.
Morphic resonance and how that works. It's really important to understand.
Between humans
and beings? Yeah, not only between human beings, but living beings like elephants and man. Human being, I mean animals. You can, when you read this morphic resonance, is important to understand. Then this heart is not a pump thing, but if heart is not the pump, then what heart is doing, and how the body works, how the blood works.
How does the circulatory system actually work?
How it works,
providing the circulation?
Yeah, and at this point you will understand how everything is connected, how your body is connected to the nature, and how you can't live without the nature, without sunshine, without fresh air, without terrain, without EMFs, you know? How important it is to connect to the nature. This is the second thing. The game changer for me also was that our eyes are projecting energy. And that's a Russian scientist. I forgot his surname. My goodness. I will write you down. Krokhalov. He discovered that our eyes are projecting the reality. So what we see, we're giving the power to what we see. That's why it's so important for the bad guys to show up, to show us the bad pictures. They want to go there, not we. So we should project what we want. So we should, you know, look at what we want in our life, and it's very, very important.
You're adding the energy into what they want.
Yes. It's, because it makes your images, what you are accepting, materialistic. You know, it's if it's a wide, really wide picture to show what Krokhalov did, but they are not giving us this information because they don't want us to know. So we stop watching all the movies, stop reading the books, stop watching this news. You know, it's all giving the energy to them. The next thing is that there is no electrons and no vitamins and no DNA and no viruses. That's all bullshit. That's amazing. That's how actually connected this blood circulation.
There are 4 things. Could you say those 4 things again? No electrons, no viruses,
electrons, no viruses, no DNA, and no vitamins. Like in the form they are trying to tell us that they exist. That's a bullshit. That's a total bullshit, total crap.
Oh, I want to learn more about that.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely don't know. I definitely know the vitamins is fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, the way how it's practiced. But the DNA stuff and the electron stuff, you're going to have to coach me on that. Because I don't know.
Because when you just open up to this information, suddenly you understand that how beautiful world you're living is, and how everything is interconnected. And the last thing I think that during those 5 years, what was important for me, it's the difference between the dead blood drop and a live blood drop. Like when you make an analysis on a dead drop of the blood, it's fake. It's totally shit. But when you do, when you work with a live blood drop, like for example, there is a Bigelsen Academy and the understanding of pleomorphism, right? And the holographic blood. That's amazing also, because it's completely different thing to make a test on a dead blood drop or a live blood drop,
Okay.
right? It's running through your veins. And what the system is doing is dividing us from this natural living analysis, making us play our attention to the dead tissue, to the dead body testing, to the dead drop blood elements. So this pleomorphism is the key element to understand how homeopathy works.
Ooh,
Right?
that's a huge
Topic.
area of interest.
Yeah.
I am very, because I've started to learn a little bit, because I know that's what the elites use. They use naturopathy, they use, you know,
Osteopathy.
all these natural remedies,
Remedy.
homeopathy.
Yeah.
They don't want you to know about them
Of
because they want to keep you trapped.
Of
But
course,
this
because all those
pleomorphism, I
things.
don't know anything
Yeah.
about. I would love to learn this
Yeah.
with pleomorphism, because you mentioned about it a few times.
I really think that you will be amazed how beautiful this knowledge will add to your, connection of you within yourself.
Wow.
Yeah, and yeah, so that's also those things were key elements for me. So someone Elena asked about the books. I will write maybe the books which are helpful with all of this. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go through
So if someone will just sit, and even if someone who would listen to our podcast later, I don't know, would listen to this point and just don't trust me, just go for it and check it by yourself. If you understand all those topics I just mentioned, I can assure you that everything will change like 180 degrees.
Wow, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, because there are certain topics on here I don't know very well, and that's okay, right? And
Yeah, of course.
that's why we learn, and
We're
then we go
here
forward with
to
it,
share those ideas.
share these great ideas. Because I used to look at those blood slides when I was in high school. I wasn't expert at it, but back then we were counting different types of white blood cells. Because white blood cells are different variations of them. So got the slide and we were counting them, and that was like our homework. It took many hours. Oh my God, I can't even remember. It was crazy. But
Programming.
I'm very thankful that I didn't proceed with it, because if you'd gone to college with it, you would have done more, looking at the slides.
Yes, amazing. Imagine it's your bloodline which were protecting you from this bullshit. It's amazing how that
I
works.
think that's actually how it works, because people, they thought that they won. Maybe they had very good test scores in high school, so they had the opportunity to go to medical school. But now they've been pushing this thing the last couple of years, right? Is it a blessing or a curse? So you were seemingly winning for a few years, but now a lot of them, I'm sure they're living with a lifetime of regret, because they know this stuff doesn't work, and they probably harmed a lot of people for recommending it, right? And they still have to go along with it if they don't recommend it, because that's what the job dictates. So you just can't win in that situation. You cannot win in that environment. So I'm glad I did not go down on that path. Whew.
No, me too. And
Passion.
without those propaganda, you can easily suck in all this knowledge, and you can reach this knowledge, and you can share this knowledge. Because without propaganda in your head, it's a space, to put something new. But as someone told, that it's so difficult that so many doctors, they are protecting their system, they are living inside of it, and they would kill you if you start to, for example, talking about the holographic blood or dark field microscopes and somatids and pleomorphism. They will just fight with you, like go, come on, I can punch you in the face for
might
talking
lose their
about
medical
this.
license, so I think a lot of them,
like Dr. Cowan, he just lost his medical license after 40 or something like this years of working for the system. Imagine, crazy. for talking the truth. Okay, I think we should finish our meeting today.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
what do you think, right? So
Fantastic.
recording would be saved and
Yeah.
it would not gone, because sometimes Instagram is doing something like this if you're not
Right,
finished.
right. You're right. Yeah, so let's close this call. I just want to thank everybody for jumping on the call, whether if you're here listening or later on.
Asking the questions, so good to see
And
the
if you
interest.
have questions, with Sasha, you can always just message her regarding anything that we talked about. If you need coaching from her, just message her. She'll be able to assist you. And if you want to follow up with me, if any issues with health, whatever, be happy to help. At the same time, come in, yeah, if it's not the right fit, not the right fit, right? So thanks so much. We're gonna do our best to get this thing uploaded so you guys can have it. And I'm doing my best to get this thing translated into Russian as well. So people who are not very fluent with English, they also have a copy
Amazing.
with Russian subtitles. Yep. Have an amazing rest of your weekend. I don't know where you are. You guys be blessed. The future is bright. Have an amazing rest of your weekend.
100%. Thank you so much for the
Thank you. Thank you for jumping on, Sasha. Appreciate you. All right, I'm going to close this conversation so we don't lose it.